Poppy Playtime is easily one of the biggest indie horror games to date. It went from being a small horror IP to one of the top games in its category, thus skyrocketing mob entertainment into the big leagues. But what separates Poppy Playtime from all of the other indie horror games in its genre? What makes it so different? Well, indie horror has grown a lot over the past 10 years, so let's take a look at just how influential it has become and how Poppy Playtime has made a name for itself. So there are a few factors that influence the success of the genre, and the most obvious one is that these games are often relatively child-friendly due to the mascot characters. A friendly face appeals to everyone. The lack of human antagonist also plays a factor by lowering the amount of gore or violence you're likely to encounter throughout the game. It's a pretty unique aspect to the mascot horror genre, with almost every other type of major horror video game release landing squarely in the adults only M rating. This mascot horror uniqueness has created a profitable and almost endlessly exploitable audience of kids looking for a safe but popular way to get into the horror genre, a place to test the limits and explore video game horror. Although the ratings of some of these games have been hotly debated, Poppy Playtime is recommended for players ages 8 and up, and I can firmly say that I would have been terrified if I was playing these games at such a young age. The cutoff generally falls around the young teen age group. Even the games aimed at slightly older players, such as Five Nights at Freddy's or the Bendy series, have developed a fandom within the younger audience. This is because of the cutesy and kid-friendly design of the many characters. Throw this genre of games at YouTubers and everything starts to fall into place. Five Nights at Freddy's was one of the first games to really become a phenomenon, thanks to Let's Play creators on YouTube featuring it prominently in their content, like Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. But that's just two of the countless creators that helped make these types of games become what they are today. As many of the mascot horror big hitters came from smaller indie studios, the relationship between these YouTubers, their fan base, and the game's creators were often closer than they might have been for a AAA title in a similar vein. In other words, indie horror developers created a strong, friendly relationship with content creators and their game's fans, something AAA game studios still fail at doing today. These indie horror developers actually care about their fan base. Like I said, these relationships created a really strong connection between fan base and studio, with some of the more prominent video game content creators even earning cameos in the games they covered or in the movie adaptations of these games. This community feel is a big part of why these games remain attractive beyond just an initial playthrough. There was a connection made between the fanbase and the game. But with all that being said, every good game needs an even better story. A story to keep players engaged. Deep, rich lore, and this is one thing that allowed Poppy Playtime to stand out, having a well fleshed out story. Playtime Co. was once the king of the toy manufacturing industry, until everybody inside of the factory one day disappeared into thin air. Now, years later, we must explore the abandoned factory and uncover the truth as to what really happened, only to find out that Playtime Co. started experimenting on innocent children, turning them into life-size toys. The idea that something horrific can come out of an innocent toy factory is what draws us in, mixing both worlds of fun and evil. How each step we take inside of this nightmare brings us closer and closer to uncovering the true mystery. But the lore runs deeper than that. It's the little things that present the biggest clues. How a simple poster that we saw during a playthrough could have secretly teased the chapter's next location, or how an innocent toy on the ground could hint at a new main antagonist. It's the little details that matter, and mob entertainment understands that. They pay attention to detail. This gives the game a ton of replayability in hopes of discovering new secrets or details that we might have missed in our first playthrough. But hidden details around the environment is not the only way we can learn about new lore. The use of VHS tapes plays a big role in understanding what's really going on, and it makes sense to use them considering when Playtime Co. was active. So they're not just a random thing implemented, they were used during that time period. VHS tapes are presented to us very early in the story. This is to show us that they are important and we need to look out for them. They give us crucial information about Playtime Co.'s past, along with so many other details that would take way too long to talk about. But that's my point. They elevate the game's lore. VHS tapes give us a unique way of learning the mysteries behind the closed doors of Playtime Co. Now, like I mentioned before, Mob Entertainment even used the likes of big name content creators like Jacksepticeye as a character inside of the story that is presented to us from a VHS tape. This reminds us, the player, that not only are these tapes important, but there is a friendly relationship between a big content creator and a, at the time, small indie horror company, reassuring us that they are the real deal. Putting creators in games like this wasn't very common at the time, so it made Poppy Playtime stand out from the rest. There is also one more thing that Mob Entertainment did that really separates them from the others in terms of storytelling: the Poppy Playtime ARG. This alternate reality game was held by Mob Entertainment to tease upcoming projects, like Project Playtime and their third chapter to the Poppy Playtime franchise. The ARG was a genius way to market not only future games, but the lore surrounding Poppy Playtime. This interactive computer system would share photos, videos, and recordings of Playtime Co's past, giving us the player so much to discover and talk about in a fun and creative way. This encourages players to make subreddits and discussion forums to dissect every detail and string together theories about what is really going on, always keeping the community talking. The Poppy Playtime Discord is one of the most active game servers I've ever seen, and that's because of their fan base. The immense backstory is what keeps us sticking around. Now, every great story has memorable characters, and Mob Entertainment created some of the most iconic in the industry. One of the best things Mob Entertainment has ever done is create Huggy Wuggy. This massive bright blue toy catches your eye more than any other. His long limbs and massive stature gives us an unsettling feeling, while his friendly smile tries to keep us calm. However, his hostile form is much more terrifying. With his bright red lips, many sharp teeth, and evil smile, Huggy Wuggy is that of a nightmare. Seeing this character for the first time was terrifying. Add Huggy to a thrilling, tight vent chase sequence, and you have a recipe for success. Everyone was hooked. But that was just the beginning to all of the iconic characters Mob Entertainment would create. Along with other smaller side toys, each chapter gave us a new main antagonist. Chapter 2 would introduce Mommy Longlegs, a spider-like character. While seemingly pink and mother-like, her many spider legs and evil demeanor would haunt everyone, bringing out their arachnophobia, giving us, the player, another memorable creation. And Chapter 3 gave us Catnap. Mob plans to use most of these iconic toys to give us a final amalgamation, being the prototype at the end of the story. Now, I'm not going to go into each character because there is a lot, but that's what helps make the game great. All of these characters have a purpose. They all have a backstory. These many characters help push the story forward. They give Poppy Playtime its identity. When you see Huggy Wuggy, you think of Poppy Playtime. When you see Catnap, you think of Chapter 3. They are the face of the franchise, and it's these memories we have of these characters that make them so impactful. Now, along with the lore and characters, there is one more thing that helped Poppy Playtime stand out and feel less generic. That would be the grab pack. This item is what allows us to interact with the world. It helps us progress through the story in creative ways. The grab pack is a wearable backpack accompanied by two artificial hands attached via steel wire. The hand's powerful grip allows for movement of heavy objects with ease. The lengthy, flexible wire gives us the ability to reach whatever we need, no matter the distance. These steel wires even allow us to conduct electricity, so as you can see, it's very versatile. With each new chapter, we got brand new hands. In Chapter 2, we found the green hand, allowing us to carry and transfer power. Chapter 3 gave us the purple hand that lets us boost ourselves over things, and it gave us a flare gun hand, so you get the idea. Now, this grab pack allows us to not only progress, but to solve puzzles. Puzzles play a big role in the game. Yes, this is a common thing in most indie horror games now, but what makes Poppy Playtime's puzzles stand out is the grab pack. It's a staple to the game. It's part of its identity. This trend of carrying an item that is needed throughout the game has been picked up by almost every new indie horror game. However, the variety of Poppy Playtime's grab pack is what makes it stand out apart from the rest. So it seems that Poppy Playtime has cemented itself as a must-play for all indie horror game fans, skyrocketing Mascot horror into the mainstream. Its deep lore, memorable characters, and creative storytelling gives us players hours and hours of playtime. That is why Poppy Playtime is successful, separating itself from the rest. How do you guys feel about Poppy Playtime? Are you surprised it's been so successful? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like horror game content like this, please consider subscribing. Also, if you want to support the channel more, you can become a member. Don't forget to follow my Twitter at TerrifiedT. Thanks for watching.